Ladies and gentlemen, look, if you follow me on IG, you know fitness is probably one of the most important things in my life because I got to get that done early in the day. And if you're worried about how to get started or what you can do, then this episode is for you. Let's get this one on the road. Here we go.
Shut up and sit down.
Look, a business can give you everything you want in life: prestige, wealth, freedom. It can also take everything away from you. This show is for those who are willing to take that risk. These are the real life stories of entrepreneurs. But before we start, I have one small favor to ask. Please leave a comment. It can be advice, critiques, tips, feedback, or share this with someone because your engagement is the most valuable and most powerful form of social currency. So thank you, and welcome to another episode of Business Bros. Attention all fitness enthusiasts. Are you tired of trying every workout program and diet plan under the sun, yet not seeing the results you want? Are you feeling frustrated, lacking in confidence, and low in energy? If so, you're not alone, but today we have a very special guest who's here to help you build muscle, gain confidence, and improve your overall performance. With this 12-week framework, he guarantees to tailor a program to fit your unique body, lifestyle, and goals. So get ready to transform your life. Let's get ready to welcome to the show, Joey Yochheim. All right, now we can get the party started. Joey, welcome to the program, man.
What's going on, brother? I appreciate you having me.
Of course. All right, dude. Fitness. One of my core values is making sure that I work out every single day. And today I have so far had a 0 day, meaning I didn't work out this morning. I hit the alarm went off and I did not get up. It doesn't mean I'm not done yet. I'm still gonna hit it. Usually I do like a 45-minute workout in the morning, which is like weights or pull-ups, stuff like that. And then I hit a 6-mile run. So today I took a little gap there, but it's still part of my core values. Can you share with us like your personal journey when it comes to fitness? How did you like get into it? And then what do you do to like tailor fitness programs for people?
Yeah, dude, it's a really good question. I tell everybody my journey into fitness was very, very organic. I was fortunate enough to actually be born into a house where both of my parents were physical therapists.
Oh,
right. So I was thrust into this world of kinesiology right out of the womb, man. Like growing up playing sports as well, I was always the household where if somebody had an injury or tweaked something, they were like, let's just go to Joey's parents' house. Like, I know they got something for us, right? I know they got something. So through that, and then also just growing up playing sports competitively, I played soccer my entire life. I played in college for a few years as well. It was something that I saw as an opportunity to improve in my sport. I saw it as an opportunity to grow, to be better, to go play at college, get a scholarship, do all the stuff that every young athlete's after. And that's really where I fell in love with it. Now, obviously, as I got older and got into life, it actually formulated into a passion for me that I wanted to go and serve others with. All right. So when I got to school, I was studying exercise science. I was doing personal training on the side. All my internships were strength and conditioning, performance enhancement, working with professional collegiate athletes, and all the way down from kids that were 5 and 6 years old to guys that are NFL Defensive Player of the Year candidates, right? So a very, very broad range. So it was a very, very organic journey for me, man.
That's kind of cool, though. The fact that you have such a range, you work with little kids all the way to professional athletes, it's kind of, it gives you a perspective that not everybody understands. Because, when you talk to professional athletes, they know the value of staying fit. Like it's part of their 9-to-5 regular job to be physically active. And so they put in a lot of that time, but kids, they just play. And then you got people in the middle, right? Like the people who know they're supposed to work out, know they're supposed to get physically fit, but something's always in the way. I don't have time, a family, whatever other excuse you can come with. So how do you help clients like overcome that unique physical, maybe mental obstacle that they have that's blocking them from helping them achieve their goal?
That's something that a lot of people will probably be surprised with my answer, but it's something that should be covered, in my opinion, throughout the sales process, right? Throughout the entire acquisition of a client, you have to get down to the root of the reason of why they're actually here to do these things. Right? Because a lot of people's misconception of when you're running a fitness coaching business and you're selling fitness as a service, people are like, what are you just asking somebody why they want a 6-pack or selling them a 6-pack? And I'm like, a lot of times especially with our clientele specifically, we're working with family-minded men, guys that are in their 40s, guys that have a wife, kids, they're busy professionals. It's like they're doing this so that they can have energy to play with their kids, right? So that they can have energy to focus on being a husband and grow their marriage. And so you have to get down to the actual root cause of why it is that they want to do this. And when they're able to actually understand what the real benefit of getting in shape is, they're much more open to prioritizing it. They're much more open to making sacrifices elsewhere to actually put the time in and do what they need to do to get the results, get to a healthy shape, have the energy, have the confidence, and have everything that they need to have and get out of their fitness journey.
Dude, it is so true because motivation is I heard this on TikTok the other day. Motivation is like that girlfriend that cheats on you. She's only going to be around for a little bit, right? And then she's going to be gone, and yet you still got to get up and keep going with your life. And that's, motivation is so fleeting for a lot of people that if you don't understand the why you're doing this in the first place, you're going to find every excuse not to do it. So okay, so you speak to them at the beginning, you address some of these whys, and then how do they overcome those roadblocks? How do they get past the motivation? What is it that you're telling them so that maybe it's, maybe they are showing up, but they're not maybe pushing past their plateaus. Like they hit a plateau and they want to keep progressing. Like, how do you get them to move on to that next level? You get them to show up because of their why. How do you push them forward?
It's a matter of bringing it to them, and anybody that's studied like psychology, behavior change, and anything along those lines will understand what I'm saying. And for those of you that don't, this will be very interesting, but a lot of it is going to come down to actually rooting the actions that they're taking and the identities that they have. You literally actually have to take them through an identity shift, right? When you understand what their why is, what it is that they're after, you have to now align the identity with that, and your actions will follow. Right. So if you have a guy that comes into a program and a very, very common identity that they hold is like, man, I'm lazy. Like, that's just who I am. Right. We have to get to the root of like why it is that you believe that. Shift it to, no, I'm not lazy. Like, I take action. Like, that is what I do. I am fit. I take action. I take care of myself. We have to shift them to that identity and that frame of mind. And then it's very, very easy to get the actions to follow after that, because you're going to act in alignment with it. Right. So we actually have to go through the actual psychological process of helping them shift their identity to move it towards where they're trying to go.
Dude, that is so powerful. You are absolutely right. That shift in identity. I'm not a morning person. I don't like running. How about this next one, which is, I think, a big one. I like to have In-N-Out on a regular basis. I know I do. That's part of my identity. Right? That's why I'm saying that one, right? But when it comes to nutrition, that's one of those things that it's difficult for a lot of people to shift that thought process of what am I going to eat? But what you're saying here essentially is, once I shift your identity of who you are, these other habits are going to fall in place, right? So like when people talk about nutrition and maybe as a role for achieving their fitness goals, how does that incorporate into your program after you've shifted their identity? Now I'm like, okay, I am a morning person. I do work out. Wait, now I got to eat better too?
Yeah. And something that you have to be careful with as a coach is you have to meet people where they're at, right? A big mistake that I see fitness coaches making is like they have a system and they're drilled to their system. So you could have a client come in on any end of the spectrum and they try to force it upon them. What we really practice with our coaching staff is meeting people where they're at, right? And coming to them and saying like, where are you at in the process? Because there's a long line of nutritional optimizations that we could make, right? If you start out with the fundamentals, it's like we have to make sure you're eating the right calories. Then we have to talk about protein. Then we have to talk about your carbs and your fats. Then we have to talk about the source. Then we can talk about supplementation, right? There's so many and then. So when it comes to being a coach, or in my situation, training our coaching staff, is you have to be hyper aware of where that person is, come to them and meet them there. And additionally, something that's really surprising, like you said, you like In-N-Out, right? And a lot of people like doing that stuff. A lot of people like to have those fun meals and do those things. And it's something that as a coach, I've never told a client, you can't do that. It's just we have to control the frequency, right? And a lot of people as well. Now, this is not just a coaching mistake. This is just a human being mistake that they make with fitness and nutrition, is they think the answer is complete elimination. And a lot of the times it's just control and moderation. So we encourage guys to go about a principle, the 80-20 principle, which is a very common principle. Like you've heard this probably in life and business as well, but we apply it to fitness. And it's this idea of 80% of the time, go eat clean, go do the things you're supposed to do. 20% of the time, be a human being. Like go on the ice cream date with your wife, have pizza night with the kids, like go drink a beer with your buddies while you're watching the game. Do those things. And it's a complete mental reshift nutritionally for people because they've always been thinking that cheat meals is bad, bad, bad. I go out, that's bad. I have a beer, that's bad. And what we encourage guys to think about is look at it as a tactical deviation away from clean eating, right? And when you can reframe it in your mind as that, it's no longer cheating. It's part of the plan to allow yourself some indulgence from time to time.
Dude, that makes me feel a lot better.
Yeah, good. It should. It usually does, right?
It's the human aspect of it. Yeah. Okay, so like for me, when I started working out, when I first started, it was like, okay, look, I just want to be able to eat what I want without feeling guilty. And I always felt like if I put in the work every day, and even if I had something bad, which I do, man, Fridays is Pizza Fridays at my house. On Wednesdays, I got a teacher buddy that goes to In-N-Out, he brings In-N-Out to my classroom. I'm not gonna say no to the double, right? Like there's always stuff that comes up. And as long as I am physically active, especially at the extreme level that I'm at, I don't feel guilty eating this stuff. However, I do know in my mind, I'm like, hey, dude, this is the second time you've had fast food this week. Like, you need to chill out, right? Go back to, keep eating what you were eating. And most of the time, it's like you said, 80-20. Most of the time, I'm eating salads, I'm eating fruit, I'm eating chicken, right? I'm eating what I'm supposed to be eating. But it doesn't mean that 100% of the time I'm doing that. I'm still skipping some of these meals, and you're making me feel a lot better that I'm doing the right thing here. I'm sure you get that from your clients a lot, right?
100%, man, 100%. And it's like, it's funny though, because a lot of people have like a very skewed interpretation of like what 80% is. Because a lot of people, you'll talk to them, and if you asked most of the listeners here, do you feel like you eat clean most of the time? They'd say, yeah. But then you get into a program and you have somebody looking over it, and you're like, hey, bro, you're only eating clean like 40% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So people's interpretation of what clean eating is often skewed because they're just biased. It's their own personal bias. They're going to be like, yeah, of course I eat healthy most of the time. You, based on what you're telling me and what you're telling me even before the show started with how much you work out and how much you train and the fact that you were concerned over 2 fast food meals a week tells me you're probably in the exact right ballpark of that 80-20, maybe even a little bit beyond that, like 85-15, 90-10. Most people, though, they're not. They think they are, but they're way behind that metric.
Oh, I don't know if I'm a 80. I'm probably more like a 60, 65, maybe 70, 30, dude. I'll be honest, right? It's not so, I eat some bad stuff here and there, but, and you know what? It really comes down to like, I know, like I'm physically fit, right? But if I wanted to really get shredded, I know that I would have to cut out some more of that stuff, right? But at the same time, I'm comfortable where I'm at. So, and it's, let me tell you like a quick story. I used to run, like 2-3 miles a day. And then my brother was like, hey dude, we're going to do this 8-mile marathon thing. Do you want to do it? And I was like, yeah. He's like, you know what? Just get some 6-mile runs under your belt. You'll be good. And I heard that as you should just be doing 6 miles a day. So since then, for like the last year and a half, 2 years, I've been running 6 miles a day, right? So super extreme. Now, for me, that was like elevated. Like I worked my way up. How do you make it like a more of a balanced approach to getting people to push past their limits and, increase their maybe the amount of weight that they hit or the amount of cardio that they put in, but also avoid injury and not overdoing it like a burnout?
I think it comes to a philosophy of determining what's optimal. Like, how do we achieve optimal performance versus how do we achieve ideal lifestyle for that individual? Because obviously, what is optimal health-wise would be nailing down every single calorie, every single source of food, measuring everything, taking it all to a T, tracking sleep. There's so much that would go into optimal. But what we call it is, do you want to be a robot? We can do that. Like we could. Like I know how to do that. I can turn you into a robot and get you some crazy results. What are you willing to sacrifice to do that? Because a lot of people, just normal human beings, are not willing to sacrifice and do all these things and weigh every little thing and do all this. And they're going to want to do what's ideal for the lifestyle that they have and still get phenomenal results. Is it optimal? Maybe not necessarily. There's another layer to it. So I think the question that has to be answered is, do you want to go to optimal full-on like robotic mode? Or do you want to get in ideal shape for your current lifestyle where you're happy and you feel that balance? And most people, sounds like yourself, I know me personally, and I know 100% of our clients are taking that mindset of like, I just want to do what's going to get me to my personal ideal shape. Maybe it's not optimal in a science book, but it's ideal for me and my lifestyle.
Yeah. Okay. So optimal, I like that. Optimal versus lifestyle, because that I think that is a huge difference, right? My next question was going to be around the number of meals that we eat, because I hear
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff, right? I hear things like, back in the caveman days, you had to hunt your food and like you eat
Yeah.
one good meal a day, and then you hear things about intermittent fasting and how it burns certain things, and other people are like, no, you have to have 4 little meals a day. Like, this is where I think what you were describing here, what's optimal for you? What about your lifestyle? What's going to make you happy? I'm sure all of them would work to an extent in a
Yep.
certain plan, right?
You're spot on. You're spot on. And we have this saying in our community, there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat. Right.
Yeah.
And so we have a group coaching setting, but all of our guys also have one-on-one coaches. And I was actually on a group call today about nutrition, this specifically. And I was telling them like a generalized philosophy on how to go about supplementation. And then at the end, I recapped it with there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat. And if this was a blanket statement for everybody in the world, you guys wouldn't need one-on-one coaches. I'd be able to run just an entirely group coaching situation. Right. So it is going to come down to a nuanced situation and determining what works for you. I'm kind of infamous in our community for being the guy that says research is kind of a scam, which is funny. So the reason I say that is because obviously a lot of these studies can give you very, very good data to start with. But at the end of the day, the best research that you can do is research on yourself. So literally actually experimenting with your processes. If you want to determine whether or not you should be eating 3 meals a day or 1 meal a day, you need to go 2 to 4 weeks of eating 1 meal a day, and then go 2 to 4 weeks of eating 3 meals a day and see which one you preferred and how you felt. And so truly the best way to get an answer for what is right for you, because you're right, all of these philosophies could work, but some of them might not work for you. And the only way to find out is to actually experiment and test with it.
All right, yeah, because I'm always at ends with the wife, because I'm like that, man. Like, I can eat one good solid meal, like, and I'll eat the crap out of food, right? Like, if you put it in front of me, it's going down. So, like, every once in a while, I'm like, I'll eat one meal and then I'll be good. I don't have to eat dinner. I don't have to, I'm good for like the whole day, or vice versa. I'll eat poorly. I'll eat a breakfast. I'll eat a lunch. I'll eat a dinner, and then the next day I'm just like, you know what? I'm not hungry today. Like I'm kind of good, and I kind of just listen to my gut almost literally to decide on what my meal plan is. And I figure with the amount of exercise that I'm doing, when my stomach really starts talking to me, like, the difference between being hungry and just being bored, right? I mean, there's got to be a difference. How do you explain that to your clients so that they're kind of understanding their bodies and the difference between the two?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And something that's important for me before I answer this is to provide context, because the answer and any answer that you give in a fitness situation, I'm always sometimes skeptical to give blanket answers, because there could be somebody listening to this that's 150 pounds overweight. There could be a guy that's 10 pounds overweight. There could be a guy that's trying to put on weight. Right. So that answer is always going to vary. However, a system that generally works for guys that are brand new to fitness and very overweight, it's like I tell them, you can't really listen to your hunger cues because you're unhealthy. Like your hunger cues are incorrect. Your hunger cues are what got you to 150 pounds overweight. We have to bust out MyFitnessPal and track every single calorie and weigh yourself every single day. Now you get a guy like, it sounds like yourself, where you're a pretty healthy guy and you're taking care of yourself. You're active, you're lifting weights, you're running. You've probably got pretty accurate hunger cues because you're a healthy individual. So you could probably take a more intuitive eating approach, which is like what I take, of making sure I'm hitting adequate protein, and then I kind of eat till I'm satiated, and that's it. And if that means I have 2 meals today and 4 meals tomorrow and 1 meal the next day, that's fine. But it's because we're already healthy individuals.
Right.
Somebody that's not healthy cannot trust their hunger cues. They're completely incorrect. It's why they're unhealthy, and it's why they're overweight. It's because they listen to their hunger cues, and they can decipher whether or not they were hungry or bored or stressed or tired or mad. So it really depends on the situation that you're in. But overall, once you're a healthy individual, I think intuitive eating is the answer.
All right. I always love story time because I think it always projects the best example here. So can you share like a success story? One of your clients that maybe you help transform their body, transform their lives through one of the programs that you went through. Maybe give me somebody who, like you were talking about, was just new to business, new to fitness.
Mm-hmm. A good example of this is he's actually a younger guy. He's 23 years old. He's actually coming on our in-person retreat and everything. He's been with us for about 8 months now, and he's down over 70 pounds.
Ooh.
And he was a guy that was brand new to fitness, but he was very overweight. Right. So we had him tracking every little thing. Everything. Now, 8 months has gone by, and about 6 months into it, when he got to a more appropriate body weight, a healthier body weight, and he had a good routine in place where he was lifting weights regularly, he was getting his steps in, right? He was eating right. We were able to transition him out of tracking calories. Now, he's not tracking calories at all. He's hitting his protein, and he's going about his day. He eats until he feels satiated, not even until he's full, just until he's like, I've had enough. Right? He doesn't stuff himself to the gills. And he's continuing to lose weight at the exact same rate that he was when he was counting calories, because he's gotten himself to a point where he's a generally healthy individual. He does the fundamentals of health. So he can listen to his hunger cues. And now he's on a trajectory to lose over 100 pounds in a year. That's ridiculous, right? And halfway through, he stopped counting calories because he got healthy, right? He was able to actually trust his body and trust his senses. And he's been able to transition out of that. And ultimately, long term, we're not naive enough to think anybody's going to track their calories every single day. I don't. I can't tell you the last time I tracked. So when we can take a guy from that point, where he's 300 plus pounds, drop him to a more reasonable body weight, get him generally healthy, and get him out of tracking, and transition him to a situation where he's going to be able to maintain it for the rest of his life, because he doesn't have to whip out a food scale on MyFitnessPal when he goes out to dinner with his girlfriend, right? He's in a very, very good place.
Yeah, that's a happy dude right there.
Absolutely.
I mean, literally shed a dude of weight, 100-pound dude of weight, right? In a year.
Totally
That's
different.
amazing right
Totally
there.
different.
Let me ask you about probably one of the most obvious questions on what you should be consuming, and yet we don't do it as often. And it tends to be my solution to almost every problem. It's like a running joke in my house. Like if there's something wrong, my answer to it is you probably need to drink more water, right? When my kids come up and they're like, I got a headache, I'm tired, you probably need to drink more water, right? I'm hungry, you probably should drink more water. Like it's almost the answer to everything. I always call it like the magic elixir. I'm drinking water like all day long. And to me, it literally has transformed a lot. Skin's better, weight gets dropped more, I have more energy in my day. As a fitness professional, how important is it to drink water? And I'm talking all day long.
Oh, massive. Anybody that's watching the video version of this has seen me sipping water since we started. And the biggest thing that we see in a weight loss situation, which is what I'll speak on specifically because that's the majority of our client base, is a lot of times people aren't hungry. Like we just talked about, they're either tired or they're stressed or they're emotional, or they're just straight up thirsty. They're dehydrated. And a lot of the times the body is going to misinterpret that signal from the brain as hunger, and then they're going to overeat. So when somebody can add in adequate fluid, they're going to feel more satiated, right? They're going to recover better from the workouts that they're doing, and they're going to be an overall happier human being, right? Because they're not dealing with a headache. They're not dealing with the symptoms of dehydration. And a really simple metric to use, I actually just talked about this today as well, because there's a million things. Like you've probably heard 3 liters. You've probably heard, 100 ounces. You've probably heard a gallon. Like there's so many different things you've heard, right? And how I like to explain to people is I say match it to your protein intake. So if you're having like 150 grams of protein a day, drink 150 ounces of water a day. That sounds big and scary. If you're new to drinking water, like that sounds big and scary. If you need to ease into that, you can break it up into chunks. You can think about it like I'm going to have one big thing in the morning. Like I'm going to have 50 ounces in the morning, 50 in the afternoon, 50 in the evening. So I tell people, think about your protein consumption, match your water consumption to it in ounces. And if you really want to just know if you're adequately hydrated, it's as simple as watching your urine color. It really is.
I was going to say, that was really my metric right there, man.
Yeah. It's a good metric, man. And it's like the most basic metric there is. And the only time you'll have like an asterisk to this is like if you're consuming like a boatload of like multivitamins or supplements, and then you're like, you got a fire hose of neon highlighter yellow, right? That's going to be an asterisk. It's going to be a flag, because it's like you might be hydrated. You just have a ton of nutrients that you're just wasting. You just bought too many supplements and it's just wasting, right? So it is as caveman and Neanderthal, because if you watch your urine color and you're clear to light yellow, like you're fine. You're adequately hydrated.
Yes, I mean honestly, that's the metric that I use. I'm like, as long as
Yeah,
if you're clear all the time, you're on the right
you're
pace. The
good.
moment you start getting into that yellow color, your body's filtering stuff out. Like that's
Yeah,
literally what's going on. Is you're cleaning out your system, and your body needs more and more liquid magic, essentially, right?
yeah.
All right, let me ask you about your program itself. If people wanted to enroll, what's the kind of financial investment that's required to be a part of your program? How does that compare to other fitness programs?
It's going to be a mid four-figure investment. Where that's actually going to land specifically is just going to depend on a person's situation. Most people need about 12 weeks. Some people like to commit for 6 months, right? So it really is going to depend on the situation that you have, but it will be something that is definitely a mid four-figure investment. And the way that we're able to actually position ourselves this way is because our ultimate goal with our clients compared to most fitness business models is we don't want you to have to keep coming back.
Hmm.
Our goal is for you to leave our program and never need fitness coaching ever again for the rest of your life. We want you to leave able to coach yourself with the habits ingrained and the knowledge necessary to continue to do that. The flaw that we see, and the easiest example, is like a personal training model at a big box gym. They're paid by the session. And I can speak on this because I was an in-person trainer. I've been there. I only got paid if my clients came and showed up for sessions. If my clients stopped showing up for sessions, I wasn't making as much money. I need you to keep coming back. Our business model is set up in a way where we don't need that. And we don't want that. If you're good at what you do as a fitness coach, I should be able to teach you within, at most, 6 to 12 months, everything you need to know for the rest of your life. And you should be able to go on without me. So for the people in the audience that have been with their trainer or their person and they're still trying to lose weight and it's been 2 or 3 years, I'm going to highly encourage you to probably look elsewhere, because you should know everything you need to know and more by that point.
I think it comes down to that whole I'm afraid to do it on my own. No accountability, man. That's what it comes down to. You develop, you know what you have to do. I think for the most part, most people know what they have to do. They might need a little help, like you said, 6 to 12 months to learn maybe different types of exercises, when you should be doing them, how to count your calories if that's what you want to do, how to keep your, like, there's a lot of stuff that you can learn. But for the most part, like, I love that model because you're literally saying, dude, learn what you need to learn and then go freaking do it. Like, go be that
100%.
beast that you're coming here to be.
Yeah, man. And the thing that you brought up as well is a very good point of like the accountability. Okay, what if somebody still wants that? Well, what we've been fortunate enough to develop is a community setting. And I encourage anybody, this is a business podcast, right? Anybody that's in the fitness coaching space or any kind of coaching service where it's similar to this is build a community around your product. Build a community into your offer. Build group coaching calls into your offer. Even if you have that one-on-one element, add it. Because any business model where I don't need you after 3 to 6 months isn't a good model for MRR, right? But what you can build is you can build a powerful community with connection that provides that accountability. And you'll have people that when they are done with your coaching program and they don't need the hands-on coaching anymore, they'll pay a retainer to stay inside the community to have that accountability at a much more affordable rate, because they just want to stay a part of it. So the way that you can build the accountability into it is having that community, having a special place for people to come and connect, people that are on the exact same journey. And we've been fortunate enough to be able to develop that and have that place for our guys where once they're done and they don't need us anymore, but they still want to hang out and they still want some sort of accountability, they can stay inside of the community at a much, much more affordable rate.
Yeah, and that's the tribe, right? Like, those are your boys. Like,
Yeah.
you've bled, you've sweat, you've literally changed your physical physique, your life. You kind of want to hang out with those people
100%.
for the rest of your life, and you guys are making that's the power of community today. And I think that's a huge difference between a shift of you're growing a following versus building a community. That community is that tribe that wants to stick with you for a long term. All right, man, before we head out, I want to make sure people are able to reach out to you. They want to work with you. They like what you're talking about. They agree, like, this is the type of thing I need. I need 6 to 12 months. Get me on the right track. Get me in a position where I'm doing what I need to be doing. And maybe I'm even willing to join this community you're looking for. How can people get a hold of you to do that?
The best way to contact me would be via Twitter. So my Twitter is at Joey Yochheim. So JoeyYochheim. So that's the best way to do it. My messages are open. Feel free to reach out anytime. Instagram works as well. Same handle there. I got the same handle on all my social media. So any of the main social media platforms, you can find me at that handle.
Perfect. And what are we going to find if we go to Default Kings? Like, what's there?
In terms of the website specifically or inside of it more?
Yeah, inside of it. Tell me about it.
Inside of it, man, what you're going to find is you're going to find a group of family-minded men that are all striving to be the best version of themselves. Obviously, the main vehicle that they're looking to do that in with us is their fitness and their health, of course. But the psychological teaching in the frameworks that we use within our program allow guys to take these lessons when it comes to things like identity and action and learning how to build these subconscious habits in your life. You're able to take those frameworks and apply it to your relationships. You're able to apply it to your wealth, to your career, to your business. So what you'll find in there is people that have an unending drive to be the best version of themselves.
Boom. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. And this is the thing, man. I see my, people that I look up to, people in my own family, and as they're getting older and older, you can see there's people who are really having a hard time just with the day-to-day activities. And then you see some of those older people and they're just cruising through life. I personally want to be one of those. I don't want to have a lot of pain and aches and dealing with disease and diabetes, a lot of those things. And there's some things you can't help, but a lot of it you can. And it really requires you to decide that this is your identity. This is the health that you want to lead. And literally Joey and his team are doing that for you. They're helping you set up what you need to set up for yourself so you can live the life that you want. Have that energy. Be around for your kids. Don't be that older parent who can't do stuff. You want to be that older parent who's there, active, ready, and enjoying retirement. Joey and his team's helping you get there. So make sure you guys check out his website, defaultkings.com. You can follow him on social at Joey Yochheim on all social media feeds. By the way, that's pretty smart to do. You just got to do it that way. It's easy that way. So you can find you anywhere. Joey, thank you very much, man. Before we head out, I got one final question for you, man. I'm sure you've been on a lot of different podcasts. We're doing this 30-minute episode so we can create short clips for social media. What was your experience like creating content with the Business Bros?
It was awesome, man. What a conversation, brother. It was great getting to meet you. It's great to have a conversation with somebody that's so engaged and upbeat and high energy, man. I loved every second of it, brother.
Perfect, man. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. Health is probably the most important thing. I promise you, if you are not feeling good, if you're in pain, it doesn't matter what your other goals are, you're not going to want to make those a priority. So you got to prioritize your health. It's the number one thing in your life that'll get you going to help you reach any of the other objectives that you want in your life. So make sure you guys check out Joey's stuff again one more time, defaultkings.com or at Joey Yochheim. Make sure you guys check it out. That's all we got for you guys today. Peace.
Appreciate it.
Out.
It's over. Go home.
Is your business in need of marketing? Try starting a podcast, but not just any podcast. Podcast like a pro. We can show you how to take your business from being invisible to becoming a brand people trust. Go to www.businessbros.biz